When the powers that be asked me to talk about secret societies today, not gonna lie to you folks, I was a little worried I wouldn't find any dirt on anything that was truly heinous. After all, isn't the job of a secret group to keep that stuff under wraps? Well, fear not, dear spooky friends, I found some information that made my head spin. Question for you. Can you name any secret societies you know about? Let me know in the comments and let's dive into today. Alright, I'll start us off with an easy one. Who's heard of the Order of Skull and Bones? Founded in 1832 by a community of students from Yale University, the secret society is famous for being a part of a number of conspiracy theories. The most popular perhaps being that the founders of the CIA were members of this group. Its members assure outsiders that Skull and Bones is just a college fraternity that taps 15 rich boys each year to undergo an initiation that's nothing but mumbo jumbo. Folks who know better are certain that the occult-based secret society worships the absolute power of the state and the New World Order. Let's dive into some history. When William Huntington Russell returned to Yale from his studies in Germany back in 1832, his head was filled with the philosophy of reason, as taught by George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel at the University of Berlin. In this worldview, the state is absolute reason and individuals must give their total obedience to it. The state has supreme rights over individuals, and individuals must recognize that their supreme duty is to the state. Russell also returned to Yale with the notion of establishing a chapter of a corps in Germany. He called it the Order of Skull, S-C-U-L-L as in sculling and bones, but later changed it to skull as in noggin and bones. The society, which Russell formed with Alphonso Taft, exists only at Yale. And every year, like I said, 15 juniors, it's like, come here. What do you get? Well, 15 grand and a grandfather clock. Sounds good to me. Now, this is not your typical beer-swilling goof-off fraternity. The initiate's vows have to do with support of one another in the achievement of worldly and highly material success after graduation. Let's talk about Russell, the founder. He rose to the military rank of general and became a state legislator in Connecticut. Taft was appointed U.S. Attorney General, then Secretary of War, Ambassador to Austria, and Ambassador to Russia. His son William was elected to U.S. presidency in 1909 and later became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the only person to have achieved both positions as far as I know. The tomb was constructed in 1856. It was the same vine-covered, windowless brownstone hall where Skull and Bones still holds its mysterious occult rites. Almost from the very beginning, a mystique grew up around this whole organization, as might be expected in a university community that suddenly has within its confines a secret society. Professors objected because of its secrecy in a nation that prizes its recognition of equality and its contempt of elitism. Pardon me. As early as 1873, a New Haven newspaper published an article that condemned the society as an obnoxious, deadly evil with an increasing arrogance and self-fancied superiority. Well, that just sounds like a group of guys. In the 2004 election, the United States had two bonesmen squaring off as presidential opponents. George W. Bush and John Kerry are members of the secret society, and Bush had brought 5 fellow bonesmen to join his administration, one being William Donaldson, to serve as the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Ron Rosenbaum, author and columnist for the New York Observer, probably spoke for the majority of Americans, but he told CBS News in 2004 that he believed there to be a deep and legitimate distrust in America for power and privilege that are cloaked in secrecy. The columnist said that he actually lived near the tomb and walked past it all the time. When initiation rites are being conducted, he said he could hear strange cries and whispers coming from inside the windowless, creepy building. Infamous for hiding the deep dark secrets of sick practices members take in, some say weird schmixual acts are also a common sight at the Order of the Skull and Bones. As part of their initiation ceremony, new members are asked to lie nude in coffins before telling others about their deepest and darkest icky coitus secrets. So remember how Skull and Bones began with an admiration of the Hegelian ideal of sublimation of the individual to the state, that culty stuff I was chanting earlier? Some bonesmen continue that ideal, working to achieve a new world order. Oh, gotta mention one more notable member before I forget. Averell Harriman. As Minister to Great Britain in charge of the Lend-Lease program for both Britain and the Soviet Union, shipped entire factories into Russia, and according to some folks, was responsible for the transfer of nuclear secrets, plutonium, and US currency printing plates to the USSR. So, is Skull and Bones simply a college fraternity drawing upon old traditions copied from a German student secret society? Or is there something more sinister in the occult-based, sanitized Satanism that worships the absolute power of the state and the New World Order? Yeah, my vote's on Satanism. Anybody else? People who have studied about the Thule Society say that it was the real inspiration of Yahtzeism. After all, a number of Yahtzee leaders were a part of the Thule. Founded in August 1919 in Munich, even the evil dictator named Adolf was associated with the society as a visiting brother. As the author Joanna Kavanagh points out in her book, The Ice Museum, the society was an early expression of the Yahtzee preference for Aryan tribes in northern lands, an early idea of natural purity with a belief in the racial superiority of a people. The society's leader and main activist was a man called Rudolf von Sebottendorf. I tried, folks, I tried. Prior to establishing the society, having returned from his trip to Turkey, Rudolf joined another secret group called the German and Norden. Formed by a handful of prominent German occultists in 1912 and violently opposed to the Jews, its leader, Hermann Pohl, was obsessed by what he saw as a gradual diffusion of the German race, a slow watering down of national race lines caused by the introduction of non-Aryan elements. The German and Norden enjoyed a hierarchical fraternal structure similar to that found in Freemasonry, but unlike Freemasonry, this group taught its disciples nationalist ideologies based on racial superiority, and most of the group's literature had an anti-communist, anti-Semitic theme. Rudolf fit in that group perfectly, and then he established the Thule Society. And what did he need? Well, he needed an emblem, and he adopted the symbol that came to be associated with the Yahtzees later on, because it was the true representation of everything he held dear. Now, originally this thing had been an ancient Indian symbol of good luck, as well as the traditional symbol of the Norse god of thunder, Thor. But in the early 20th century, it had been taken up by a German neo-pagan movement. Perhaps it was from them that Rudolf was like, I like it. After all, both groups promoted strong anti-Christian ideologies, but it wasn't until a society member by the name of Friedrich Kron suggested to the evil German dictator that he was like, hey, you've got a new political party, how about you use this? That this now famous insignia grew to be one of the most feared and hated of all 20th century symbols. Rudolf claimed that his society, where only those Germans of pure racial lifeline over several generations were allowed membership, had been formed so that academics could pursue their interest in the Nordic sagas. A diary of the group's meetings from 1912 to 1925 shows a series of lectures on topics such as the original homeland of the Teutons, German poetry, megalithic culture, and German myths. But these innocent-seeming agendas hid a much darker secret, one that was far more in keeping with the German and Norden's aims, the search for and reinstatement of the Germanic race's true roots. A search that would eventually call for the expulsion from, or worse still, the annihilation of any alien elements within the country. Little wonder that among the society's members were prominent industrialists and millionaires, also high-ranking state officials, such as the chief of police. Apart from practicing perverse magic, racist chants, and black magic, these members were often known to take part in supernatural exhibitions where they would invite demons and ask for guidance. Some folks say that it was a demonic ritual on the sexually impotent evil dictator that made him into the sadistic killer the world later got to know him as. Alfred Rosenberg ran the society's newspaper, which spouted a mixture of anti-Semitic and anti-communist rhetoric. When, for instance, Kurt Eisner was in control of the local Bavarian government, the paper swore that it was a communist Jewish attempt to take over Bavaria. They were obsessed by outsiders overrunning their country, and some journalists even forwarded articles expressing the opinion that Germany had lost the war due to the fact that it was not firmly rooted to its origins. In other words, this society was mesmerized by the idea of a heroic past, where those that came before them lived and died heroic lives. It was a winning formula. By late 1918, the society had over 200 members, and by autumn of that year, apparently it was around 1,500. Terrifying to think about. Established in 1954, the Bilderberg Group, or Club, is a secret society comprising the world's elite. It is an annual private conference of 120 to 150 of the most influential people from the world of business, finance, academics, media, and even some presidents and prime ministers. It is believed that the main purpose of this private party of the creme de la creme of the world is to create an aristocracy of purpose, mainly in the US and Europe. Just being rich doesn't get you a spot though. No. Meetings are organized by a steering committee with 2 members from each of approximately 18 nations. Due to the lack of accessibility and transparency of these meets, this group has also been accused of a number of conspiracy theories, which is where we come in, including just the Great Depression and most of the world's biggest bad, violence, activities. The air of mystery that surrounds the group, and their unwillingness to come clean with the things that they discuss, puts them on the list of the most dangerous secret societies of the entire world. Established in the 60s by getting its public recognition in the 90s, the ONA is a satanic cult based out of the UK. They claim to be the followers of Satanism and came to the attention of people thanks to their neo-Yahtzee ideologies and activism. The members see it as a very individual pursuit of excellence by studying what Satan has to offer. Their writings believe in human sacrifice as a way to eliminate weaknesses and claim that the evil tribes are an important part of the strategy of the devil to carry out the mission to disrupt and ultimately conquer the common people. According to a recent survey, they actually have more female supporters than either the Church of Satan or the Temple of Set. More women with descendants, more older supporters, and more supporters who come from a better socioeconomic background. And finally, we're ending today with the cult of Mithras, the Mithraic Mysteries, a secret society that rose in the 1st century AD throughout the Roman Empire, thanks largely to its popularity among Roman troops, was inspired by an Indian-Persian divinity known as Mithra or Mithras, who was believed to have been born from a rock. Portrayed as a savior-like god, Mithras was often shown killing a sacrificial bull or sharing a banquet with the sun god. So, not much is known about the inner workings of this exclusive cult, but it's understood that the focus was on glorifying war, overcoming evil, and achieving salvation. All applicants had to pass 7 levels of complex initiation, including performing animal sacrifices, before they were considered fully vested members. Up to 30 worshippers gathered in a cave-like space known as a Mithraeum. Over 45 of at least 680 have been discovered by archaeologists in Rome alone to share a meal and conduct secret ceremonies in front of an effigy of the god slaying a bull. In its heyday, the cult became a major challenge to another rapidly growing religion, Christianity. In fact, early Christians persecuted them, and the society was suppressed by the end of the 4th century. I will give props to the Christians for that and that alone today. And that's it for me once again, folks. I've been Alexa, your resident ooky spooky girly, and if you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more secret society investigations from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.